Oh. Oh, yeah, and then it has a countdown.
1, 2.
Wow.
Hey! Yeah! Imperfect Moms Club. Whoop. Anyway, I apologize about what's in the background here. It's just an old bed frame that I don't even know why we still have it, honestly,
Mhm.
but we don't know where else to put it right now because we just moved. So
Yeah.
it's here. It's experiencing this podcast with us. Anyway, I
I
don't know.
think everyone has an old bed frame. Like we have, like we don't have like the headboard. We have like the little metal, the thing that holds the mattress. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Like
Mhm.
I think we have two, and I don't know why we have two, but we can't get rid of it. I'm like, why can't we get rid of it? We don't need these. we have them. And I keep banging my toe against them when I go in the basement. So
Oh no.
nice. Yes. Yeah. So I'm in my guest room because I hurt myself on Friday, and this is the best bed for me because our bed in our room is higher, and I can't crawl up right now.
Oh.
So I'm gonna share. It'll just take 5 minutes. I got a story. I got drugs.
Yeah,
Um,
drugs. Ooh.
like, I've never had muscle relaxants before, and they're amazing. They're
I've
great.
never had them before.
Like they make me really sleepy, so I haven't taken them yet, and I'll take them after the podcast because I didn't want to like fall asleep on Lisa, and she's like,
I'm
Brittany,
really
wake
like,
up.
excuse me, hello, good morning.
Yeah, I don't think they're that strong, but
Don't leave
so
me hanging now.
it's like me sleeping. So for school on Friday, we took the elementary students to a trampoline park. Have you ever been to one of these before?
I haven't, but I've always wanted to go. I think when the girls are old enough to not like give me an aneurysm heart attack, then I think we'll go.
I've never been to a trampoline park, and we want to do something cool the last day of school. So we loaded all the kids up. We took them over, and
Fun.
it was epic. The kids are jumping, they're having fun, and then there's like a foam pit, and the only foam pit I've ever been in is like 6 feet deep or something. It's like really deep, and it's full of these big foam blocks.
Yeah,
And
like I don't know if you've ever done like gymnastics camp, but like the gymnastics like gyms have that foam pit for like people that do like weird flips in the air and then they land. Yeah, those are really deep. Yeah.
yeah, and I've been in one of those before, and I was like, oh, cool. What? And I have to tell you what I was wearing because it makes the story even better. So I wore jeans with like 4 tutus, and I looked like a walking loofah, and I loved it. Like I like walked a little bit on the trampoline part, and my skirt was like it was so pretty.
Oh my
And
god, that's
so
awesome.
and so at one point all the kids kind of like went off in another area, and it was just me and the other teachers, and I'm like, let's go, and I was the only one who took off. And so I ran towards the foam pit, like full running. I jumped as hard as I could. I had both knees up
Oh
because I was doing
man.
like a cannonball thing, and
Yeah. You
I
really
had put
went
my
all out.
oh I was I'm because I will like we're having fun. Where no one here is gonna be boring. We're gonna have fun here, and let's all
Mhm.
let our hair down and have fun. I put my finger over my nose like I was going into water, and I put my hand up like I was doing a cannonball, and I'm pretty sure I yelled cannonball, and I jumped, and that's when I realized I made a horrible mistake because the pit was only 3 feet deep and not six
Ouch.
feet deep,
Oh no.
and my knees smacked the bottom, and
Oh my god.
immediate pain, like. And I couldn't even I couldn't move at first. I couldn't say ouch. I couldn't yell. I couldn't do anything. I was just like down in the pit, and everyone thought I was joking. So they're like, "Yay, Brittany, woo!"
People always think you're joking, like, you always have to like, whenever there's something happens, like, I passed out one time, and, like, my friend was like, "Lisa," and then she was like, "Lisa!" Everyone
Oh,
anyway.
oh, like it's like oh, stop turning purple, Lisa. Knock it off. There she goes again. She has to be the center of attention. Yes. And so then, like, all I could do was like put my hand up and like with a finger, like 1 minute. That's all I could. That's the only thing I could do. And then one of the other teachers like dove in to save me. It was so dramatic. And
Oh.
and like so my I heard my entire back crack, just like it was insane. And I can move all my limbs and everything like that. And then I got to the point where I could like sit up, and I like laid back in the pit, and I couldn't even talk. I could just like barely whisper. And I was
Oh,
I was trying so hard not to pass out and not to throw up at the same time. It was the weirdest feeling. I've never had both of
oh
those,
man.
because I was like, first of all, I know I'm in a foam pit, and they haven't cleaned this thing in 10 years, and it's disgusting in here. I'm not about to throw up too, because that's gross.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want to pass out because the teenager at the front desk is going to have to get me out of here, and that's embarrassing.
Oh no.
And I can hear the other teachers talking, because my husband had taken the high school kids to an escape room. They're like, how far away is the escape room? We need to call Mike. And I'm like, no, don't call Mike. It's
Oh
fine.
my gosh.
Anyway, I eventually got out of the pit. One of the teachers ran me to like one of those walk-in clinic things. Oh, I had to go to 2 walk-in clinics because the first one didn't take my insurance.
That's so
I'm like,
stupid. Like,
yeah,
hello, my back is broken. Like, can you please?
I know. I like huddle up to the desk, and I tell her what happened, and I like slap my ID and my card down, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'll tell you right now, we don't take that insurance." And I'm like,
That's so stupid. They could at
okay,
least like talk to you about like self-pay options, because some people, if there's like an emergency, like what if they can't go to another place, or what
yeah,
if they're like it was here, like I'm gonna die, so I guess I'm just gonna die because
I guess
you
I'm.
don't take my
Yeah.
fucking insurance.
So
Anyway.
anyway, I'm fine. I have my medication. I've been. I've spent all day yesterday in bed. I've spent most of today in bed, and I should be good because I'm doing like one more event on Tuesday that involves children, and I'm like, I need to be okay for this event. I need to be okay.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I hope you feel better. Like you told me about it when like the day it happened. I remember you sent me some videos, and I was like, oh my god, like
I I'm like, I'm glad none of the kids were around because I wouldn't want to like scare them.
yeah,
But I was like so mad that I only got one jump in because I paid to go. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I had an outfit and everything, and I would have like jumped the whole 2 hours. And I'm the one who wanted to have fun. All the other teachers are kind of like there. And I'm like,
man.
really? Really?
Ain't that some shit? Like we turned 30, and then like after that it's like just like we're just trying to have fun, we're just trying to be fun parents, we're just trying to like be all in, you know what I mean? Like we just want to be all
Hmm.
in. And then, we go and hurt ourselves a lot.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not fair. Like we should get like different body, like younger bodies when it's
Hmm.
time to like have fun, and then like we can like slither back into our old like breakable
Yeah, because like
after.
on the inside, I still feel like a teenager. Like I want to go and have fun. I want to be
Yeah.
silly. I want to climb trees. I want to jump off things.
Yeah.
But my body is like, nah, girl, you're in your 30s. And I'm like, but why?
I tell everyone like I still feel like I'm 17 sometimes. Like, and then all of a sudden I remember that I'm like gonna be 32 and I have 2 children, and I'm like,
Hmm.
what?
What
How is
happened?
that allowed? How
Well,
is this allowed?
so speaking of being young, like teenagers texting all the time. Well, we still text and we still use emojis. And Lisa found an article that
I
says
did.
what your favorite emoji says about you
As a parent,
as a
yeah.
parent. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull it up here. So I'm gonna run through these, and then after I'm done, we can discuss what we are and stuff. So I thought that could be fun. Okay, so that straight on laughing face with the tears, like just the one that's like straight and not the cock to the side one, but just a straight one with the
Yeah.
tears. So that means if you use that the most, that means you're good natured and a self proclaimed hot mess.
Mhm.
And you'll forget the kids' lunch, but you'll always be the "I feel you, girl." So you'll always be there to like commiserate. Um, it's a symbol of harmlessness, so it's not really indicative of like humor. In the
Right.
article, actually, it was like their humor that died in the '90s, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm still funny." Anyway, and this parent doesn't want to offend. They're like, "Haha, I'm good natured. Like I'm just, haha, we're just having fun. Like I'm harmless." Yeah. Um, right. And then they may be basic, but they're the friends that will have your back.
Mhm.
So that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
And then next we have the one that's cocked to the side with the tears, laughing harder. And the article says this is the edgier younger sister of the first one. And so it's crying and rolling on the floor laughing. And they're very satisfied with their own jokes when they use that emoji a lot. They're like, oh my God, I'm so funny. I've had those moments before, but I definitely think I'm more the first one.
Mhm.
And then we have the poop emoji. So if you use the poop emoji a lot, you have a big family, probably some pets, and there are frequent poop references in your house. Your disgust tolerance is through the roof, and you don't bat an eye when like gross things happen. You're more likely to hand someone a lukewarm beer than ask them about their promotion at work. So
Mhm.
you're the party house. Like anything goes. Like you're just like yeah whatever. Like well let's just have fun and and poop. Yeah, poop's funny. How.
I feel
Anyway,
like if you come from a big family, then the opportunity to witness gross things is like increased. And so, yeah, you kind
yep,
of have to be okay with like, if
yep.
you're a guy, you have sisters talking about their periods, or you have a little baby brother who just had an explosive diaper. Like, there's more opportunity. And so you're just not as phased by
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's true. And then this person will be your accomplice for petty crime with their wild-eyed kids in tow. With their wild-eyed kids in tow. Yeah. So that's the poop emoji. So if any of you watching this are use that one, then that was you. And then we have the smiley face with the hearts. So like it's just smiley face, but it has like the three hearts.
Yeah.
So this one's called the Susie Sunshine. Oh, I forgot to name what these were. So the first one was the self-deprecating millennial. And then the cock to the side laughing face was the marginally cooler millennial. And then the poop one was just the potty humor parent. Okay, so then the smiley face with the hearts is the Susie Sunshine. So she is literally haloed in love. And she'll be first in line with handmade teacher appreciation gifts and heartfelt birthday cards. I'm the heartfelt birthday cards. I'm not crafty. So like I'm
Mhm.
not gonna make something. Sorry, Brittany, I know you're a teacher, but I probably won't make anything for your appreciation. I'll send you like a gift card or like I don't know, like I'll write you a really thoughtful card and make you cry, but like I can't make stuff.
You're not gonna like knit me a sweater for Christmas.
No, sorry to say. Now that we say that, I probably will knit you a sweater with this smiley face with the hearts emoji on it, just because it's gonna take me like 50 years. So wait on that. And then so this person will have snacks for her kids and then extras for those kids that don't have snacks. She's happy-go-lucky, full of energy on the surface, but if you treat her badly, she can morph into a mopey. It says mopey martyr. I was gonna say Moby Molly because your daughter's name is Molly, and it just okay. And then the Moby Martyr that brings us to the next one, which is the sacrificial parent, and this one is a smiley face with one tear, so like she's smiling but she's crying.
Yeah.
So this one is so she's trying hard to see the glass is half full. She blinks away tears as her child says, "No, you can't come to class with me." She likes scrapbooking, and while she's looking back through pictures to pick books for her scrapbook, she'll start crying. She enjoys being around others. So basically, this person is the Eeyore to everyone else's Tigger. Like all Eeyores need Tiggers, kind of thing. Winnie the Pooh reference, yay! All right, so next we have the kiss face with the heart. So they're just blowing a kiss, but it's a heart. And this is the love bug parent with questionable boundaries.
Mm.
So this mom calls everyone honey and sweetie. She always wants one more hug. She's often the first to coo over a child with a scraped knee or a friend whose divorce has turned messy. She will flit around, never landing on one place for too long. She's scattered, but she's enthusiastic. And she's a light in the world, even if they hug too often and for too long. So yeah, you still, even though you can be a little too clingy, you still want them around because they're light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we have the painting nails one. And this one is the relentlessly put together parent. So she's
Not
got the
me.
Louis Vuitton. Yeah, not me. She's got the Louis Vuitton, the shiny white sneakers, even on a field trip to the farm. Tight schedules, detailed cars. This is a parent you can count on, though. So, like, if there's a PTA meeting that's going awry and whatever, she'll just whip people into shape. And you really need to get on this mom's good side. Don't get on her bad side. So the next one is the wide eyeballs, like the two eyeballs.
Oh yeah.
And that one is the parent who loves gossip. So if you're ever at a party and you're bored, find this parent because they'll always be in a corner somewhere dishing out some tea. Her eyebrow is permanently raised. She knows about everyone in the neighborhood and knows everything about them. And if you tell them a secret, it may come out later.
Yes.
Keep a lid on it, so just be wary if you choose to divulge all your secrets, which is kind of tricky for me because the way my brain works is I overshare like a lot. So like when I meet someone, I'm like, here's my life story. So if I ever meet, one of these loves gossip moms, it's just gonna be blasted all over. Like I'll be on like, I don't know, the neighborhood newsletter or something. Can you believe what Lisa did? Anyways.
She'll be in the next barbecue and you'll hear your name come up and everyone will like turn and look at you and you're like,
I'll be like, oh, and I'll be like, what? Like they had it coming. I don't know what you said, but I mean, I'm sure it was justified. The next one is one that I use actually quite a bit. The eye roll face. I use the eye
my
roll
husband
face.
uses that with me. I'll like text him something and he's like, it's funny. It's funny. Lighten up.
Oh my god, I'm always using this one, but it's the judgy one. So the article says, I quote, likely a writer with a chip on her shoulder and a keen, if unrealistic, standard for how others should behave, end quote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
She's snarky and she can veer into annoying and paranoid. And you never know what they're thinking behind that careful expression. So they have this carefully practiced expression on their face, but you never know what's going on in there. So it's true. Like you never know what's going on in my head, but I'm trying. Like I recognize that, and I'm trying to be more open. That was the point of this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is my brain. Let's open it and like take a peek. But yeah, no, I'm definitely the eye roll face. I use the eye roll face, I think, the most out of all of these so far. And then I'll send the kissy face with the heart, but I'll send that to Paul. Like I don't send that to my kids or anything. Well, they're too young to know what texting is, but I still probably wouldn't. So after that, we have the straight mouth swirly eyes one, which I've never used.
I think that
I've never
one's
even seen it before.
Like if you're super confused, maybe that's why I use that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd never even seen it, and then I saw it on the article, and I was like, oh. So then I like went into my phone, and I was like, oh, there it is. But I've never used it. But this is the too busy parent. So often a parent of multiples, juggling many things. They're the biggest hustlers you'll ever meet, even though their hair might be a mess. So they do carpool and work deadlines and taking care of their partner. They're basically the mom that does it all. They're breathless, but they exude power and possibility, and they sometimes need to be forced to sit down and relax.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they won't otherwise. And then we get to, this is also me. I mean, I use this a lot, but I don't know if this is me, but the just one thumb up emoji.
Yeah.
So this is the brusque and slightly terrifying parent. So this parent has no time for your bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily unkind, but they're inscrutable and efficient. So they basically just like get to the point, like blah.
Yes.
Yeah. They usher their children in a row like the Von Trapp family, with that little whistle, you know?
Yeah.
And they inspire a faint yet healthy sense of fear in everyone they meet. Um, and they wear pantsuits with sneakers, and they have a taser in their purse.
Oh, I
So
love that.
always ready. Ready for anything. And they keep it quick and to the point. So like, like I said, like,
Yes.
all right,
I
Okay, so
get so many of those because I'm very long-winded, and when I'm asking someone for a favor, I'll be like, "Okay, so you don't have to say yes if you don't want to. I promise we'll still
I
be
do that.
friends."
Yeah, I do that
And then
too.
I'm like, blah 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 blah, and at the end, I give them again more permission to say no if they want to say no, and then they just give me a
Yeah,
thumbs up. And I'm like, do you hate me? I'm sorry.
oh my god, that's me. So Paul and I all the time, like we're always talking about how I use like way too many words to say things, and I'm like, no, but I'm framing it. I'm framing the
Yes.
situation so you get like full context. And he's like, Lisa, what is your question? Like, come on. And I'm like, but I have to give you the backstory, man,
Yes. You need to understand where I'm coming from. So this one time when I was 4, my mom put grapes in my lunchbox, okay? And that has to do with today because
That's
and
me.
then
Oh my god.
it's my
The minute
backstory.
like I think that we're done having similarities, like we're back to being the same person. So then so there's two more. So the this one is the alien face, which I've never used either. But this is the parent who has had it.
Mhm.
So this parent needs a vacation. This emoji is a peek into a grim landscape that is full of too many pressures and juice boxes. That was a quote from the article. So this person, she's got road rage, and she has an urge to throw something at her partner all the time when their back is turned. So their anger has transcended rage and even the profane rage emoji, and it's just alien, like just that's it.
Mhm.
And you need to tell this person to drop the kids off and run to the nearest Holiday Inn or something, and just take the night off.
Go get a massage.
Just go be you. Go right now before you kill something or
Yes.
someone.
Just take a break. Take a break.
Yep. And then the last one is the eggplant. And the article literally all it said was the dad.
That's all they
It was like no explanation. If you use the eggplant emoji, you're the dad.
Mhm. I
Um,
think dads, maybe not just husbands, but like dads can turn anything into some sort of innuendo for something else. Like
yep.
I'll be literally like anything, like, oh, we gotta grab some more crayons for the kids. They're running low. I'll get you some crayons, and I'm like,
I do that though. Like, okay, so now Mike is me and not Paul because I do that all the time.
I mean, like he'll just the most weirdest thing. I gotta go fold the laundry. I'll go fold your laundry. I'm like, I don't understand. What are you saying to me?
Oh my
And he
god, that's
doesn't even
amazing.
know.
That's so funny. Yeah, I make everything. I have my moments where like everything is an innuendo, but even like when I'm aware that it couldn't possibly be an innuendo,
Yeah,
like I'll still say it in that voice. And then
yeah.
like everybody is like, Lisa, no. And I'm like, but I mean, maybe.
If you really think about it, right?
Oh man. Um,
So
but
I
yeah,
use the
that's it.
emoji. It's like I thought it was a tear. Now I'm realizing it was a tear. The smiling one with like one tear coming out of its eye.
Yeah, that's the one we oh the okay, so I think you're talking about the one where it's like the teeth showing smile.
Yeah. And
Okay,
it has
because the
like
one in the
one
article
little.
is just the line smile with the tear.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the one I use most of the time is that one because I thought it. But anyway, it might not be. I think it's sweat because you're like nervous and you're like, oh my goodness, I just messed up, but I can like still laugh at
Yeah, I
myself.
think that's what that is actually. It's
All
funny
right, good.
ever since you mentioned or you used that emoji a long time ago in like one of your texts to me, and since then I use that all the time. Cause I'm
Yeah,
like, this is perfect. Cause I fuck up all the time and it's funny. And like I just
yeah.
want
You have to be able to laugh at yourself. Like when I dove into the pit. When Mike found out, he was like mad at me. He was mad that I got hurt. He wasn't like mad at me. He was like, I can't
Yeah.
believe you hurt yourself. Like because he doesn't want to see me hurt. And he's like, you weren't thinking. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I was just having fun. And like now he's like, you didn't check the depth of the pit. Like, excuse me, sir. I'm like, hey, hold on, students. Let me get my measuring tape out.
Oh
And
my God.
this is the right percentage of depth for my body weight. I'm not doing that. But now like I can laugh at it, but then I can also learn from it because my kids are begging me to take them back to the pit, and I will go back to that spot and see like this is where it happened. This is the very spot. Now I know.
You'll erect like a monument, like a little monument, like R.I.P. my back.
Plaque.
Yeah.
I'll like make my own plaque out of vinyl and I'll like iron it on to like the spot and like
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah, and then nobody can take it off.
Ma'am, I'm defacing the property.
It's funny though. Like it's Anyway, I'm gonna sorry, people that are watching us live, I'm just gonna go over to Facebook real quick. I need to see.
Yes.
We're live on Facebook too, and I don't want to be missing any comments or.
I mean, if we get comments, I'll be like really excited because I told people on my Instagram we're going live. I think I might have done it on Facebook too. I can't remember, but this is fun. This could be like our Sunday hangout.
Yeah, I wonder. Can I? Oh, I can see. Okay, so it's a little bit delayed, tiny bit, but we can. Yeah, I can see us. Okay, we're live on both things. Cool.
That's
sweet.
Cool.
Okay. So now I guess usually, so for people that are watching us live, we will like cut to a commercial break. So I'll take us out. So when we get back from the break, I'll share another article entitled "I was a crappy parent to toddlers." So be right back, and then we usually like dance.
We do a little dance.
All right.
Because I'm awkward. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, we're awkward. We're imperfect moms. Again, it's on brand.
When people are doing the radio, what do they do during commercial breaks or when they play songs? Like, what do they do? Because they're in a room all by themselves, right?
Yeah,
like,
I would like twirl around in that, like, because everyone has like the chair with wheels. I would just like spin and listen to music and like jam and dance.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so now let's pull up the new article. Other article. Okay. So this article is titled "I was a crappy parent of toddlers," and all of these articles that I am going to be talking about are all on Scary Mommy, but we'll link all of them to the show notes if you want to listen to the podcast at a later time or visit the website or whatever. So this article is written by Vanessa Kroll Bennett, and she does a bunch of stuff. I have to like, I'm probably going to message her honestly on Instagram and be like, hey, do you want to be on a show with like a very tiny audience? But anyway, so
no pressure at all.
Yeah, no pressure, but please. Okay, so I wanted to start. So I wrote a quote down because it was the very first paragraph really resonated with me. So quote, "I was irritated, bored, and reactive. I had no patience for my kids' efforts to put on their own shoes or zip their own coats. I was always in a rush to get on the next activity, annoyed by their slowness. I found sitting on the carpet doing puzzles or playing games utterly mind-numbing. I lost my cool literally every time my kids spilled their cups of water across the table." So this really spoke to me because I don't know what it is about the toddlerhood thing, but I find myself getting so annoyed. And then and then you have the mom guilt that comes in, right? It's like, Lisa, how dare you be annoyed by your toddler asking you a million questions at 6 a.m? Like, you should love every minute of it, So yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel irritated with her, just like not with her as like a person because she's perfect, but like with the fact that she can't walk as fast or she drops things on the floor, whatever. And I know, like in my wise mind, like I'm totally aware of the fact that of course she's gonna spill things. She's gonna be 3 in next month, right? And and plus like I have all these mental health things going on with me too, and so triggers and all that fun stuff, all that really fun really fun and perfect mom stuff. But yeah, I I just feel so bad all the time. Like I don't know what it is about toddlers. I think honestly the stalling is what kills me the most.
Mhm.
Because like it's when it's bedtime, like we have a routine, but she's almost 3, so she's learned how to like make the routine last as long as possible.
Yes.
And so, like, when I ask her to pick a book for me to read, she'll literally name every piece of anything in her room. Like, she'll be like,
Mhm.
"Look at that. Do you see that? Look at that. Do you see?"
Mhm.
And I'm just like, pick a book, pick a
Yeah.
book." And then, my husband is sitting there, and and I feel bad because he's like looking at me, and he's probably thinking that, "Oh my God, she's such a terrible mom. Like, how can she be like trying to rush our 2-year-old?" But it's just it's bedtime.
Yeah.
And,
Mommy's
like
done.
yeah, and then at 6 in the morning, like, I she starts asking me questions, and then she doesn't stop asking me questions until, like, I close my eyes to sleep. Like, it's just. And so at 6 a.m., like, I haven't had any medication or
Mhm.
coffee. Like, I'm just like, "Oh my god." Yeah, and then it's not that she asks a lot of different questions, but she'll repeat the same questions, like, a lot of times. And then she'll like rephrase them in different ways to make it kind of different, but it's the same
Mhm.
question. And so I'm like, I, I just told you like this is whatever. And then
So
she'll,
inquisitive.
yeah, I love that about her. Like I love how inquisitive she is, but also like I'm just like, okay.
Mhm. Well, yeah, the other day, this was when we were getting out for our field trip. It was raining, and one of the kids, it's like, she's like 5. Why is it raining? And I could have been like, oh, well, because there are clouds in the sky, and the clouds have water molecules. So when the water molecules get too heavy, they fall. And instead, my brain was done because it's the end of the year. And I said, well, what do you think? I'm just like, you tell me, what do you think? Because I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. I'm tired.
Yeah, that's actually one of my hacks is when I feel myself getting annoyed with her asking me stuff, like I'll ask her, what do you think? Or like you tell me. And then like
Hmm.
that kind of gives me a second and then she'll come up with her own answer. And then I'm like, oh yeah, like I hadn't thought of it that way or
Well,
something. So
maybe.
that's my
Yeah.
little mom hack for if you find yourself getting annoyed. Yeah, I feel awful about it, but just I don't know. And then so I'm the way I choose to parent Lily is I know she's only 2 and she's going to be I have to stop saying she's only 2. She's
I
3.
know, because she's
She's 3.
almost 3.
Yeah, in a
Like,
few weeks.
it's insane how fast it goes.
In a few weeks. So she'll be 3 and like this is perfect. And she's also not developed enough to understand like big words and big sense of whatever, but like I like to explain everything to her so that like because there are some things she does remember and there's some things that she will later repeat and I'm like, oh my god, you're so smart. So like so I explain things. So I think I'm not annoyed that she keeps asking me questions, but I get annoyed with myself because I have to keep coming up with like the answers. And then I
Mhm.
push myself to like I never want to be the mom that gets fed up and it's just like because because
Mhm.
this is just how it is. So like I always push myself to answer it eloquently and tell her all the stuff and whatever, but like I get so tired of my own voice.
There
um
have been times with my kids, and it's always at breakfast when I'm trying to drink my coffee, and they're asking me all these things. And there have been a couple times I'm like, guys, mommy has not had her coffee yet, and I will answer this, but I need like 5 minutes to drink my coffee. And they're like, oh, okay. Mine are a little older because I'm like, mommy's brain has not woken up. I need
yeah.
a minute. I'm more than happy to talk to you about this. And I love that they're asking questions. And just like you, I always want to be that parent who always answers and not just like, oh, leave me alone. You're annoying. You're bothering me.
Mhm.
Um, but sometimes I'm like, guys, my brain is not on. It's not on yet. I'm
Yeah,
on
and that's happening
autopilot.
too. Yeah, that's happening too. I actually took a note from our sick moms episode, and I told Lily the other day that I wasn't feeling good,
Hmm.
hoping that like whatever. But she's still too young to completely understand. But I mean, she was nice, and I was like, can we just snuggle on the couch? Like, can we just instead of asking me about everything in the world and
Yeah.
demanding an answer, it's just yeah. So I don't know. I think what irritates me is like the added mental load. So I guess I'll go back to the article. So she's basically talking about how, she was shaming herself and she had a lot of mom guilt because she just didn't really enjoy this particular stage, the toddler stage of her kid's life. And she went to a therapist and she was like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just not feeling the joy that I should be feeling and stuff. And so basically, her therapist said, and this is another quote, said, Vanessa, different people are good parents at different stages of their kids' lives. Some people are wonderful with babies and awful with teenagers. Some people are bored with toddlers but adore adult children. You have to give yourself permission not to love every second of every stage of your kids' lives.
Mm-hmm.
This was like life-changing for me because I was like, wait, that's true. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna have such a long life and so many things. Maybe I don't have to be in love with every second of every day, right?
Right.
It's just, I mean, they are stages. Like right now, from like two to four, it's the toddler stage, right? But there's so many more years, right? And so many other things. So, like, maybe I don't have to be putting so much pressure on myself I have to be happy. I have to be happy. I have to love
Mm-hmm.
everything. I have to, because I mean, I'm also struggling with my own stuff. So, like, I read that quote and then I was like, okay, I really need to start giving myself some more grace here. And it needs to be like, because I don't know, like it's only human to feel irritated sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's 6 a.m. and like I haven't taken my best friend Adderall yet, and I like and or my antidepressants yet, and so I'm just like struggling to get out of bed and struggling to get the coffee on, and then Lily's already like a sunshine flower.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So
I think
it really
toddlers have like a secret Uber Eats app where they like get espresso delivered like through their windows
Yeah,
like
I
at
don't know where
5:30.
she's getting all this coffee. I think so this house is 20 years old, so I'm thinking, like, somebody stashed cocaine in the ceiling, like, a long time ago, and and somehow Lillian is getting into it, I don't know, but, like, she's always just, "Wah," she's been sick the last 2 days, she's got a fever today, and yesterday, and so she's, like, more tired, but she's still, like, super energetic at the same
Of
time, so I'm
course.
like, she does not there's no stopping. She does not
Yeah.
stop. And I mean, I love her to death, but, like, there are some days where I'm like, "Please stop talking to me." Like,
Well,
you
like
know?
online there's like songs and there's poems saying like, oh, you're gonna miss this, you're gonna want these days back. And yes, it's true. I'm totally gonna miss having Clara be two, where she was so small I could pick her up and carry her everywhere. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna miss putting them in the little front cart thingy when I'm going grocery shopping. Like, yes, I understand, like, yes, but not every moment am I going to miss. I am not gonna miss the screaming and the poop in the bathtub, the long nights where they will not go to sleep and I'm getting
Mhm.
up off the couch 10 times, putting them back in bed. Like those moments, I'm not going to miss those. Like
Yeah.
we have to go through them. That's just a part of parenthood, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think there's too much pressure sometimes to like you need to enjoy every moment. You need to make sure you're having fun every day and you're making a craft and you're making granola bars from scratch and you're scrapbooking and whatever, and you're taking them to swim lessons and you're taking them to, I don't know, yoga with goats. We can only do so much. And so it's like we need to do like less and then just enjoy doing less and giving ourselves permission to not be thrilled every moment of the day.
Yeah.
We do have feelings, we have emotions, they go up, they go down, and sometimes we're annoyed with our kids. Like I haven't said this, but I'm like, I love you so much, but I do not like you right now. But I love you. I'll do anything for you.
Yeah,
um
like, I've felt that. I would never, like, obviously, I would never say that out
oh
loud,
no.
but, like, yeah, no, I've said it to myself, so, like, I look at Holly and I'm like, "I love you so much. I wanna, like, rip my heart out,
Mhm.
but damn."
You're being a jerk right now.
Yeah, like, you're being a little, like, "Can you please shut up?" Like, especially because Holly, like, she doesn't cry, she screams. Like, I don't think I've heard her cry in a really long time, like, she just
Mhm.
screams. And, she has this, like, annoyed, like, "Rah!" Like, if, like, I don't feed her fast enough.
Mhm.
And so, like, all day, like, that's what I hear, and so I'm like, "I love you, but" you know, um, but anyway, so, yeah, I really liked this article because it made me feel really seen. Like, I was like, "Oh my god, like, I know we keep saying this, like, you're not alone, but
Mhm.
it's very easy to forget that you're not alone, right? Like
Mhm.
even me who like says it to everybody I meet, like you're not alone, you're not alone, you're not alone. Like it's hard to tell that to myself and believe it for myself, you know.
Yeah,
So
and it's nice to see someone else take not necessarily complicated feelings, but just take unspoken feelings and put it into words, and it's like,
mhm.
"Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly it." Like I didn't know how to say it, but that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like I feel like when Lily is, I mean it's like I'll talk to you about like bedtime. So our bedtime routine is so I already told you she stalls, but so I read a book and then Paul reads a book and then like for me she'll be on my lap and then for Paul she'll be in bed and then that'll be that. And then I usually get out because if I don't F off after I read the story, like I'm never leaving her room. Like she's very
Mhm.
good at like keeping me there and I'm very, very bad at like being firm about like, no, no, like mommy's
Mhm.
leaving. Like, so I have to leave because I won't if I don't. Paul like pushes me out the door. He's like, okay, okay. So so she yeah, so like we have this routine and like I'm just so I have the book and I'm like, okay, sit on my lap. And she just like she jumps onto my lap and ends up like punching me in the face by accident or like she's kicking
Mhm.
me and she's like wiggling and stuff. And I'm like, damn, like if you were just a little bit older, like I'm sure you could just like sit there and quietly listen to the story, you know what I mean? And so like I love reading to her, but also like it hurts when I get like kicked
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
time. And like it's hard to keep her on my lap when she's constantly so like I'm trying to read the story with like all the love I can muster in my voice, but then at the same time I'm struggling with this like fish out of water situation. So like, like I don't know, I'm great with babies. Like I'm like I feel like a rock star mom with Holly, like all the time. Like I'm like, man, when Lily was that little and Holly, like I'm like, I got this. I'm like super mom, like I'm the best. But then Lily turned 2 and then I was like, "Oh my god, like I don't think I'm that great of a mom anymore." And it like freaked me out cuz I was like, "What is this? Like why am I getting annoyed and why am I getting frustrated?" And so I'm talking to my psychiatrist and I'm like, "I mean, I guess we got to keep going off on my meds or something." So like this article was the first time that I was like, "Oh wait, I think this is like a normal thing."
Mhm.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to like dope myself up all the time. Like maybe this is just normal and it's okay and I should just so I'm not in love with the toddler stage. Like that doesn't mean I'm going to hate every other stage of her life. It just means that right now it's difficult. It's hard
Mhm.
to wrangle a toddler. And I'm tired and especially because of the depression and like the not eating, I'm like very weak right now. So like when she's jumping all over me, like I literally can't I don't have the strength, you
Yeah.
know? So it's just, I don't know, it's just a difficult stage of life, I guess. But that
Mhm.
reminds me of when we did that episode with your friend, One Main Mama, and who was,
Yes. Melissa.
yeah, and she was talking about how it's just a difficult stage of life, but
Mhm.
stages, I mean, that's the point is it's a stage and then it ends, and then you're on to
Mhm.
the next stage and the next stage will be better. It's just, every stage will probably bring its own challenges, but I mean, it'll also bring different good things too,
Right.
every stage is different. So, um,
Yeah.
I I'm glad I read that article or I found it because now I feel a lot better about myself than I did. I was starting to think I was a monster. At first I was like, "Oh my god, I'm a terrible person." But yeah.
Well, I think
Mm,
it's totally normal to get annoyed, with your kids because I don't know, they're not like adults yet. They don't know how to do things, and you're like, why can you not put your sock on? Like it is not that difficult.
yeah.
So often I will just have to like close my eyes and just breathe really slowly because I'm trying to like not freak out
Yeah.
because I get annoyed. Now, okay, so the other day we planted a garden with the girls, and it was
Hmm.
supposed to be this beautiful thing. The girls wanted to plant flowers. I'm like, all right, great. So we get to the store, and of course they were fighting over what flowers we were going to get. And I'm like, I literally don't care. Just pick something. I don't care. I don't care. So we were fighting at the store. That was fun. Get
Oh,
all back in the car, come home. We pick out a spot, and it was kind of like near where like the woods is, and I don't know if that's where all the mosquitoes like to live, but the mosquitoes were like out to kill that
oh
day.
no.
Yeah, and normally because I have my glasses on, the bugs don't get in my eyes, but this one mosquito got in between my lenses and my eye, so
Oh
it
no.
so it
Oh
was trying
no.
to like it was like if you guys, you got to go on YouTube and watch us because you got to see what I'm doing. It was like going like this. It was like it was like the mosquito was freaking out. I was freaking out, and my girls were just at that moment was like, this is a great time to start fighting about who gets to plant the next flower. And I'm
Oh
like
my
trying to
God.
get this thing out of my eye. So I grab my hand, which is covered in dirt, and I wipe my eye. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure all that did was squish the mosquito into my eye, but I'm not
Oh.
sure because I got dirt in my eyes. So my eyes
Mm.
started burning. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, Clara. And I'm like, this is not that hard. I'm like, Clara, just stop fighting. Just stop. And like they're like, they're having it out. And I'm like, Clara, go get the bug spray. What? She's like so spacey. Clara, go inside the house, get the bug spray. What do you want? Where is it? It's in the house. It's on the counter. Go inside and go
Just
get
go
it
get
while
it.
I'm trying to like rub the thing on my eye. And then my
Oh.
other one starts yelling because she wants chocolate covered raisins and she wants them right now. And I'm
Oh my
like, I can't see. And then finally the other one comes out and I'm like, okay, come over here with the bug spray. I can spray myself. And so she sprays and she's just standing there like showering in the bug spray. And I'm like, could you
Mhm.
just get over here?
Yeah.
And then she took like 5 minutes to get from the porch to where I was. And because she's like, oh, look at that butterfly. There's the garden hose. I'm going to water the grass. Like, I am like not having fun. this is
Oh.
this is not fun. And I was like so annoyed. But then after we got that fiasco finished, the girls stand back and they look at their garden and they're like, wow, this is so great. And they like went to Michael later, like, we planted a garden. It was wonderful. They
Oh.
didn't remember anything. And I'm like, half my makeup is off and half of my face is covered in dirt. And I was like, we had two totally different experiences
Oh.
out there. But yeah, I was really annoyed with them, but I was trying also to not
Yeah.
yell.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, I feel like another thing for me is like if she's feeling an emotion or something, like I'm great with like other people's emotions. I'm an empath. I'm like super like sensitive. I'm really like super in tune with people, right? But I mean, she's a toddler, so like I'm trying to talk her down and I'm trying to whatever, but then she's like yelling over me and then
Mhm.
like she can't hear what I'm saying, or like if or and then she's always like talking back to me too. Like not talking back, like yelling at me, but she's constantly coming up with like an alternative to what I said and stuff, and like she doesn't listen to me, so I think that also bothers me. Like I feel like when she's a little bit older, old enough to know not to interrupt when people are talking to you and stuff, like I feel like those big emotions, I'll be able to handle those a lot better because like mommy will talk and then Lily will talk and then, kind of thing. But right now it's just she's just like, "Wah!" And so like, and so I'm just like
She's like a
it's hard
Muppet.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, a little Lily Muppet.
Mhm, mhm.
But anyway, yeah, this reminds me of, so I'll make this a separate episode. I'll probably do a solo episode about this, but there's a podcast called The Place We Are Now, and it's Adam Young. He's a pastor, I think, or either that or he just has a degree in theology. I don't know, but it's theology and psychology, and he talks a lot about trauma, but then he talks about like in biblical terms too. Anyway, it's a really good podcast that I've been listening to, and there's one about parenting and about how the way we were parented like super affects how we parent, and things like triggers, like if we're triggered by our children, like it's probably due to something that happened when we were kids. Like there's a reason that these things our children are doing are inciting such big emotions within us, right?
Mhm.
Because in a vacuum they wouldn't. So it's really interesting, and so I'm going to do a whole new episode about that. But it reminds me of that when I was writing the notes for this segment of the podcast, I was like, oh my god, the podcast, yes. Anyway, but I'll do a separate episode about that. But yeah, so do you have anything else to say about toddlers being annoying?
I think for me, I think like it wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't as hard. I think I was more prepared for toddlerhood just because that was what I studied in college. Like we did the whole child development thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then I worked with toddlers in a classroom or daycare setting really for so many years that like I knew what to expect. And like I wasn't like shocked, like, oh my word, I can't believe you just did that with your diaper. Like I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Like what you think that's a mess? You should have seen the last kid. Um, so I think like I was more prepared, but now that my kids are getting older, so like Claire just finished first grade, Molly is going into K5 in the fall. Like with Molly, I still like know all the psychology stuff like the back of my hand, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, I got this. But Claire is starting to get a little bit above where like my expertise goes. It's
Mm-hmm.
starting to get a little beyond me, and I'm like, okay, wait, why is she doing this? Why is she like did I mess up? Did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
And that's where like I start relying on other people. Like, yes, I'm a teacher, but I only go up to K5, and after that, like kids are totally different. Every year they're totally different kids. So that's where I
Yeah,
rely
they
on other
change so
teachers.
much, and that's the problem is, like, I feel like we can never keep up. Like, there's always,
Mm-hmm.
like, and so another thing that from this article, sorry, this will be the last thing before we go to break, but I wrote, okay, so so in this article she mentions that she interviewed a Dr. Tina Payne Bryson, and the quote from that interview was, "History is not destiny." So it means two things. It means one, how we were raised doesn't need to dictate how we raise our kids. So that's what I just
Mm-hmm.
talked about. And then two, how we parented yesterday or last year doesn't need to dictate how we parent tomorrow or next year. So
Yeah.
like his kids are always changing, and so like we're always learning. So if one day we screw up and our kid is whatever, like something happens and we can't handle it, like it's tomorrow's a new day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this, the podcast that I mentioned, the Adam Young, so he talks about how he also touches on this. He says that to the goal of being like a perfect parent that like doesn't mess up, like that's impossible. Like we're all
Right.
gonna mess up all the time. So it's not about like what you do, it's about how you fix it when you mess up. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing that I'll get into in that solo episode. But yeah, anyway, I check out The Place We Are Now by Adam Young. It's a really good podcast.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm gonna go listen to that after we're done. Oh, I just hurt my back. I'm good.
oh,
I had to shift a pillow. But
yeah,
yeah, I think that sounds really interesting. I want to listen to that.
yeah, it's episode 82. If you follow 'em. I can send it to you when we're done here. But
Yeah.
yeah, episode 82, and then part 2 is episode 84. But anyway, sorry. So let's go for a quick break, and then when we get back from the break, I am going to share the signs that your kid is a brat and what to do about it. Okay.
I mean, we all need to know if our kids are being brats.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously. Like I was reading this article intently, and I was like, okay,
is my
tell me
kid
if Lily is a brat or if I can still salvage it.
oh, man. I mean, okay, I've run into too many parents who think their child is perfect. And like, I understand you love your kid to the end of the earth. I get that. But come on, they're not like. And when a teacher or like a caregiver is trying to help you out and point something out, it's not because we're trying to attack you. It's because we're like, hey, so little Timmy is having trouble with blah, blah, blah. No, they're not. I'm like, no, honey, like you got to fix this now before he's like 15 because it'll be
Yeah.
weird.
I have noticed though that like I hear a lot of that from like it's the moms that like work full time that like don't really see
Mm-hmm.
during the day their kid that are always like, and
Oh,
so like
no,
there's
do it
something to that
clever.
too, I'm sure. But like yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's a whole different
That's a
soapbox
whole
that
different, yeah.
I could get on the soapbox later if you want me to, but it's not the time. Anyway, so this article is I think it's like 5 signs. What is it? Just red flags your kid's a brat and what to do. Um, so I I don't know, I felt like um this kind of goes into like the toddlerhood being like an annoying stage and them doing stuff. And then also, when they start school, I feel like I'm going to be extra nervous about, like I'm always concerned about Lillian's mental health. Like that's like the first thing. So like anytime I discipline her or whatever, like a piece of me is like, you're traumatizing her.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that. I hate that so much because it kind of like I get paralyzed and then it's hard for me to, to like move on and deal with the situation because I'm always scared that I'm going to say the wrong thing or do something terrible. And she's like going to be in a therapy chair in 30 years, like griping about how her mom's like a big old bee. But anyway, so let's talk about these red flags. So the author of this article is Ariel Chinkle. I think that's how you pronounce that.
I like that last name. It sounds like a
Chinkle.
character in a book. Like Miss
Chinkle. Yeah.
Chinkle lived. She lived right down the road in a purple house.
I thought of like a Santa's elf. Elf
Yeah,
Chinkle.
I like that name.
Okay, so the first one is so they're uncooperative, they have uncooperative behavior, and it's consistent in all settings and relationships. So like
Mm-hmm.
all kids are uncooperative sometimes, right? But the red flag is when it's every time,
Mm-hmm.
every situation, every relationship. So with this, they're also unresponsive to adult intervention. And then this leads to an impairment in their academic and social functioning. So like they start failing school or they start like losing friends or something. Like this is just a constant problem. And then number two is persistently acting out with one person or group of people. And this doesn't ease up with time. So it's not like, you know, after a couple months, they like ease off or whatever. This isn't like if I'm like, hey, Lily, like give Sally a break or something. Like she'll
Mm-hmm.
just continues to act out, to be a bully, whatever. And then emotional dysregulation that's intense and prolonged. So, like frequent and intense tantrums and an inability to self soothe after a brief period of time. They're unable to recover with the help from an adult, and this can lead to harmful, aggressive behavior toward other children or adults. So, like if they're throwing just these violent tantrums frequently, then there's also a problem. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, this article kind of also made me feel better because I'm like, oh, okay, so I like how they were very specific and like if this is consistent, like this has to happen
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Because like,
Right.
Lily's had huge outbursts before, but like it's not consistent, right?
Yeah,
So
it's not like every
that
day,
makes me
three
feel
times
better.
a day.
Yeah, that makes me feel better that I'm like, okay, so if she hits me today, it doesn't mean she's a psychopath. It just means she's a toddler. But if she hits me like every day for the next like 3 years, like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know. Anyway, but I was wondering if you had any like um anything to say about any of those before I talk about the
Well,
solutions.
all those remind me, and I can't say a lot of detail, but there was a child that we had to expel from our daycare because they had
Oh,
all of those problems. I never thought it was possible to expel a child from daycare. I'm like, how do you get expelled from daycare? You're just playing with
oh
Play-Doh all
no.
day and stickers. But the there was so much violence happening, like
Oh
not only
no.
towards children but also adults, where I had a file so thick on this one kid, and I had adults coming to me with pictures of bruises and things on them, and I had
Oh my
kids.
god.
Oh, it's terrible. It was awful, and we tried so hard to help this kid because we're like, what happened? Like, what triggered
Yeah, like
this?
there has to be a reason that, there has to be a reason they're doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were trying because we did love this kid. We really did. And we were trying so hard, but it would not stop. It was constant every single day, several times a day. And mom and dad were kind of like, "Oh, no, that's not happening. Oh, well then what did you do? What were you doing?" I'm like, "No, no, no. This isn't me. I'm not." And he's
I
not
hate
only doing
that.
it with one adult. It's like everybody. It's every student. It's every adult in the room.
I
This
hate
is how.
parents like that because it's like, you're making this worse. Like,
Oh,
your
they were
behavior
so.
right now is
Yes.
showing me everything I need to know.
Yeah, it was so bad. And then one time, well, it might have been every time, but we know it happened one time where, unfortunately, we had to send them home early that day. I had to call the parent and say, I'm sorry, but they can't be here today. You're going to have to come get them. And they
Mhm.
came and got them. And then we found out later they took them to an amusement park
Oh, no.
like that day. And I'm like, okay, hang on.
Yeah, wait a minute.
I think they did it for themselves because they were like, I just need to change the scenery. I'm embarrassed this happened. Let's just go do something.
But it's not about you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and I'm like, I think they're doing it for themselves, but that's not helping their kid. And then obviously it didn't fix
Yeah.
it because then their kids kept doing the thing. Um, and yeah, and then so like if you see the signs, pay attention, okay? And it's not the end of the world, like because you can step in and you can do interventions and you can try to fix it. But
Yeah.
oh, my family just got home. Where are the kids? Okay, my kids just got home. They went to a graduation.
They stayed there,
Like they stayed at the graduation party. But yeah, like you recognize the signs, talk to your pediatrician, talk to the teachers, talk to another trusted parent or
Yeah.
whatever, and just get help because if you do nothing, it's not going to get better. You can't just keep sweeping it under the rug. If you really
Yeah.
love them, you really do, you'll deal with the trauma, you'll deal with it head on and not just ignore it because ignoring it, it's not going to go away.
Yeah, like, that just I mean, we need I need parents to stop, like, looking at their children as, like, extensions of themselves, and, like, so when their kid is, like, having, like, a mental breakdown about something, like, instead of being like, "Oh my god, what is happening with you that would make you, like, do this? Like, what happened?" Being like, "Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed, like, we
Hmm.
just need to, like, swoop it on." Like, it's not about you, it's about the kid, you know? I
Hmm.
just that makes me so I feel like since becoming a mom, like on my messy stressy mama Facebook page, I have like the banner is just Mama Bear Don't Care, and I like drew a picture of a bear, and like it's I don't know, I'm such a mama bear, and I feel like since becoming a kid or since becoming a mom, like my kids, their mental health means the world to me, and so like
Hmm.
if they do something like they're having violent outbursts or whatever, like I'm gonna immediately think, okay, what is wrong? There's a problem. Something's happening
Right.
with them. They're feeling some sort of way, and this is why they're acting out. Like, kids. I mean, we talked about this before, I think, but kids aren't like they're not born bad children. Like kids are born pure and they're born full of love and they're born, and so it's like these behaviors are learned,
Right.
right? Like if they have a home life that like their parents are neglecting them or they whatever, a kid, I mean, what else are they going to do except for throw a tantrum because they don't get enough attention or throw a tantrum because it's a cry for help because they're like, "Hey, like at my house nobody's taking care of me." And
Hmm.
then to then be like, "Okay, well we need to go to amusement park because like I was so embarrassed and like I need to like chill." Like, no.
Right. Yeah,
Sorry,
and
I'm
like,
mad.
oh no, and I know you, Lisa, and I both we enjoy very much in our free time listening to like true crime podcasts and mysteries and stuff like that. And I like the psychology part 'cause I want to figure out
Yeah, me too.
what happened, like why are they that way, and not all of them, but a lot of them had not great childhoods. So
Yeah.
it's on the vast majority of people who go off and do things. I'm not using the terminology because my kid's sitting right here.
Mhm.
But there were signs when they were little kids and no one stopped to do anything, or when the teacher
Yeah.
had a red flag and said, "Hey, mom and dad at the parent teacher conference, this isn't normal. Like, I'm really concerned." And they just like swept it under the rug. Like, there were signs and
Yeah.
things needed to happen. Yeah, most of the time it is a cry for help, because they're
Yeah.
they're trying to get some sort of attention, and sometimes that's the last resort. And they're like, "Well, I get attention when I do this,"
Yeah.
um, so I don't know where I was going with that, but just if you see a red flag, you're not a bad parent if there's a red flag. Like, just stop and look at it and acknowledge it and be like, okay, what can we do about it? Because
Yeah, like, it has
ignoring the
nothing
red
to do with
flag,
you. I mean,
right?
well, it could, I guess, but, like, what I mean by that is, like, they're not doing this to embarrass you. They're doing this because they're reaching out, they're trying anything they can to, like, get help. I mean, there's something to be said for, like, psychopathy too. I mean, some kids are born one way, right? Hi, Molly.
I know. She's like, I'm
I'm
gonna
I'm
jump
just
in
like,
right.
you're, perfect
Molly picked the
angel,
best
ray of
time to.
sunshine. I'm just, some kids are born one way just because, but that's rare, right? So, like, a
Mhm,
lot of times it's no, something is happening at home or something is happening, whatever, and they're kids, so they can't help themselves. They're kids, so they can't ask for the help that they need, and it's
mhm.
sad. So, like, I don't know, like, I was talking to my best friend, the other day, and I was like, man, like, I feel like I want to, like, so sometimes I get, like, really confident about myself, and, like, it happens. It's so rare, so I, like, celebrate when it happens, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm pretty cool," like, um, but, like, I like to, think that I'm a champion for, like, everyone's kids. So, like, I was telling my friend, I was like, I feel like I need to be, like, everyone's mom, and, like,
Mhm.
you need to be everyone's therapist because she's gonna be a therapist, and she's gonna be, like, the most amazing therapist you've ever met, and so I'm like, you be everyone's therapist, I'll be everyone's mom, like, we'll be good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Because I don't know, because you see these kids and it's so sad, and, like, it makes me so sad, like, I tear up when I hear stories of, like, like, kids gone bad or whatever, like, I'm like,
Mhm.
"But they didn't have to," you know?
Right. Sometimes all it takes is just one person to step in. And I've heard so many stories, especially because I do work in a school setting. There's been so many times a kid will stand up on graduation and say, "You know what? I almost didn't make it to graduation. I almost whatever, fill in the blank, but because one teacher stepped up, or because one kid in class was nice to me, or this one coworker at the ice cream shop one Saturday said something really nice to me one day." Like, it just changed the whole path. So,
Yeah.
we try and give your kids like the best life you can, give them as much love as you can, give them all the opportunities you can. But at the end of the day, like, you just love on them and just be kind.
Yeah, just be
Just
kind. I was just about to say
kind.
that. Yeah, just be kind. That's all. It's it sounds really simple because it's just one word. It's just two words, be kind, but, like, it's so powerful.
Hmm.
Like, always be kind. Like, I'm gonna, make sure that Lily grows up just always being kind. And she's already, like, she's super nice and kind to everybody. She's very sweet. She's has a lot of empathy for someone her age. I'm surprised, actually. But I'm just everyone just be kind. Because you
Hmm.
never know what people are struggling with or dealing with. And this segment, I feel like, took a turn, like, but it's an
Yeah.
important turn.
Yeah. Like, you just, like, always be a little bit kinder than you need to be, and like, don't be a doormat. Obviously, that's a different situation, but always just be a little bit kinder than you need to be. Just show a little bit more love than
Mhm.
maybe they deserve, because you just don't know. It just takes that one moment in someone's life just to completely change their path.
Yeah.
It literally changes history.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I could do you want me to get into the solutions?
Oh, yes, please.
I feel like okay, like, I feel like we got into a really good, like, segue, and so now I'm like, I don't even wanna go finish the article, but yeah, so the article goes into some of the things, so it's some of the things we've already touched on, for ways to kind of help things, and, there's a difference between bratty and dangerous, first of all, so, like, every time your kid has, like, a tantrum or something, don't treat it like they're being a bad kid.
Mhm,
Like, there's a difference. So, like, the tantrums for attention are different from the tantrums because something's wrong, right? And it's
mhm,
it's easy to tell. And so there's some things you can ignore because they're just attention seeking, whatever. Some things you can't, like when when the kid starts being dangerous or whatever. Like, that's when you need to step in. But and then so you
before
need
you.
to figure out I love this one. So you need to figure out if you can handle it on your own before rushing to professional help. So really, like, look into yourself and really decide, okay, like, is this behavior something that I think I can work on with my child by myself, or do we need something? Because, I guess this article urges like not running to a therapist immediately,
Right. Yeah. And
for
then
life,
like,
because, they're
don't
kids, they're
just
not.
don't just immediately get a prescription.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, yes, kids need prescriptions for things, but I don't think that should be like the first like line of defense.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not saying names, so whatever, but I'm in this Facebook group that's for moms, and this one mom was talking about how her 6-year-old is on antidepressants, and
Six.
yeah, and then she was talking about how, like, she was like, "I don't know what to do, like, I guess we can add, like, I think she also needs Adderall," and, like, just talking about throwing all this medication at her kid, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa."
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, I mean, does she have a therapist? Like, does she have someone she can talk to? Because the way that sounded to me was like, this kid needs to talk to somebody but doesn't have anyone to talk to. So before you run to like the doctor and ask for drugs, or before you, whatever, just like make sure that your kid has someone to talk to. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes, I get it. Like kids don't always want to talk to their parents about stuff. That makes sense, right? I had my grandma that I talked to about everything with, so that I, if there was something I didn't want to tell my mom, I'd tell my grandma, right? It's just make sure that they have an outlet first. Like, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
so I commented and I was as nice as I could be, but I basically was like, I would like, my first step would probably be to like find her a therapist or find her someone she could talk to, because she mentioned that like her kid didn't have the therapist. And so I was like, wait, so we like skipped a step.
Yeah,
Like,
because
we,
how
like,
do you
jumped right
go?
over, like, let's find someone for her to talk to write to, like, oh, medication, because I can't handle her behavior. So I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
medicate her so that I don't have to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, like, no, like, that's not being there for your kid. Like, that's not showing up for your kid. You're just throwing drugs at them, and I mean, I guess I'm pretty opinionated when it comes to like medicating children. Is I don't think that, even for ADHD, I have ADHD, right? And I'm on Adderall, and it's like the best thing ever. But had I known about it when I was a kid, instead of taking medication, I would have preferred, like, had I had like one-on-one help at school or something, or like someone to like kind of help me with it. So
Mm-hmm.
like if I find out, because ADHD is passed down. So if I find out later that Lily has ADHD, I'll do everything I can to make sure that she's learning the way she needs to learn and things like that. So I'm going to be pulling out all the stops to help her learn better. And then if it's getting to a point where like she really, 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 really needs it, like she can't
Mm-hmm.
get help any other way, then yeah, okay. But I mean, 6-year-old on antidepressants, like I will, like, my mouth dropped. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
there's got to be more to that story. That's
Yeah.
insane. That
Yeah, I
poor
don't know. I
kid.
don't know where they are, who they are, nothing. I just, like, I saw that and I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, plus antidepressants are really strong. Like, that's a strong medication. So, like, do you really want to be giving something that strong to your 6-year-old?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I wonder if it would have any side effects on proper brain development. Like, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I would hope the doctor would not give them something that would not be good for them.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're going to put a 6-year-old on antidepressants, you really need to, yeah, have someone for them to talk to. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if like a social worker is exactly what I'm trying to say, but some kind of child therapist person, just to
Yeah.
make sure they're okay.
Yeah. And like that's why teachers are so amazing, because, it's true. Kids don't always want to talk to their parents, and especially if something's happening at home.
Mm-hmm.
So like, going back to moms that are like, no, that's not happening. Like if a teacher that sees Lily like all day every day comes up to me and tells me, "Hey, like Lily's been doing this, I'm a little bit concerned." I'm going to be concerned too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to want to know, like, okay, why is this happening? I'm going to want to get to the bottom of it. I'm not going to want to be like, oh, no, that's not happening. Like, my kid's perfect. Like, no, like, get
Mm-hmm.
over yourself.
Yeah, I think something that people forget, And like we're teachers, we're not know-it-alls. Like we don't know it all. We're always learning more. But like we
Mhm.
see like hundreds of kids. And so there's a lot of kids to compare to. And like
Yeah.
sometimes it's really easy to pick one out and go, one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. 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 So I mean, I don't know. I feel like the whole point of teachers is kind of to work with the parents to like, so you can you both kind of like so you can raise like the whole child. Like you have the education part and then I'll have the like all the rest of it, but we work together, It's
Right.
not like teacher against parent like whatever. Anyway, but we keep like
I
going
know.
on tangents, but this is gold. Like this is great. I'm really loving this conversation. So basically like the rest of this is just, the normal things like model the polite behavior that you want your child to do and also like when you're addressing your child about like bad behavior, just keep it like to the point and simple and
Mhm.
straightforward. Like don't go into like these long like because like when you do this it makes me blah blah like just like because they're kids and they don't and another thing that I guess the Adam Young touched on his podcast was that like kids first instinct is that like their parents can do no wrong.
Mhm.
And so, like, you know, if they behave badly, there's got to be like a little piece of them that like feels bad about
Mhm.
it. So like, why would you make that worse by being like, "Oh my god, like why are you blah blah blah?" Like instead, you just want to be really kind and just be nice and say, "Hey, like we don't this isn't how we react to this or this isn't how we behave or like things like I don't know. Keep it simple."
Yeah, and don't take it personally. Like
Yeah.
even if they say something to you that's like super mean, don't be like, I'm like, look, I guess yes, like you should acknowledge like, hey, that really hurt my feelings. I didn't like that. But the reason why you can't do this is because this is gonna hurt all of your relationships in the future. Like not don't make it about you because it's
Yeah.
not about you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like my biggest thing right now is like kids are not their parents. Like it is a whole kid. Like when you decide to have a child, like you decide to create an entirely new human. And
Mm-hmm.
that human is going to have their own brain and their own feelings and their own whatever. So like these parents that are like putting all these expectations on their kid or putting all these, like, oh no, my kid's perfect. They would never do that or whatever. Or like screaming at their kid because like, why can't you just behave like I would behave?
Mm-hmm.
Like because they're not you, you know?
Yeah.
Um, all right. There's only a couple more here, but okay. So label your child's behavior in a non-judgmental way. So that goes along with being kind. So if they got mad at their sister and then they punched her or something, like label it. So say, I understand you were upset because Susie took your toy, but punching her was not a solution to that problem, right? That just, that made her really sad, or I don't know. I'm not a perfect parent, so I don't know if what I'm saying is right or whatever. But just things like that. So like label it and just be non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it like, obviously if it like keeps happening all the time, like okay, like you need to escalate a little bit. But if it's like, if they like Lily all the time will like push Holly because she doesn't understand that like, hey, like that could hurt Holly. Like, you're stronger
Because
than her.
yeah, because she doesn't understand. Oh, I'm bigger, and
Yeah,
Holly's sense of balance
yeah.
isn't
So like, I'm not
as.
gonna like yell at her when she does it. I'm gonna like kindly, I'll tell her. I'll be like, hey, when you push Holly, it hurts her because she's smaller
Mhm.
than you. But like label the behavior so that they hear what they did, or like you say it again so that you're bringing it to the surface. Is
Mhm.
instead of like sweeping under the rug, be like, what you did back there, whatever. Because
Mhm.
like, what did they do back there? Um, and then so I guess provide so there's two choices. So provide two choices. So like this is what I'll do with Lillian. So I'll be like, okay, you can either like a lot of times when she's throwing a tantrum because she doesn't want to go to a room for bedtime, I'll say, okay, do you want to walk up the stairs or do you want me to carry you up the stairs? And a lot of
Mhm.
times she's like, I want to do it myself. And then ta-da, she's
Cool.
in her room. So, like so it works. So, yeah, provide 2 choices. I also, watched a TikTok video. I don't know what the guy's name was, but he talked about how, like, if a kid is throwing a tantrum, like, they're using, like, a certain part of their brain, and to kinda switch it to, like, this other part of their brain that's more executive function is you give them an executive function. He says he
Mhm,
did this in Panera, and, like, everybody was amazed. But his kid was having a meltdown, and he was saying things like, "Can you touch your nose? Like, what
mhm.
color is this table?" Like, things like that, and the kid, it just, like, immediately the tantrum was over, and so I was like, "Dang, I need to try that."
Yeah, I like the giving them options, the choices thing. I do that a lot, especially when someone's throwing a tantrum and they're like, it feels like you're not going to get them to do what you want. Instead of just saying,
Mhm.
stop it, I'll be like, all right, so you could either, we in our classroom, we have this like canoe. It's not a like a wooden canoe. It's like a stuffed. It's like a big giant bean bag thing. And
Oh,
I'm like, you could
cool.
either go and sit in there with a book until you're calmed down, or you could go get a drink from the fountain, or whatever the choice. I'm like, you have to do one of these two things, but you can't
Yeah,
stay here and kick and scream on the floor.
yeah,
And
I
so
like
I
that.
see, and then they have to think like, oh, okay. And then it also like kind of gives them like a little bit of sense of control, but also like
Yeah,
ultimately
I was
I'm the
about
one
to say that.
making. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like let you go hit somebody. I'll let you do these other two things,
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
here are my parameters, and then they get to pick, okay, well, do I want to go get a drink of water or do I want to go do the thing? And maybe they'll say something else. I'm like, okay, well, unfortunately, that's not a choice right now. So you're gonna have to pick one of these other things.
yeah.
And normally that does work. Normally. Every now and then some kid like breaks my mold and I'm like, hey, I learned this in a workshop.
Yeah, like, "Whoa, give me my money back."
Mhm.
Okay, and then, the last few, and the last one is just when they're recovered, find time to talk openly, and have them identify their feelings. So, like, when the
Mhm.
tantrum's over, when they're calmed down, obviously not when they're still emotional because this isn't gonna work, but, like, sometime later when they're by themselves or they're okay, they're no longer yelling and they feel better, just have a talk with them. Be like, "Hey, you were really upset earlier, and, you were doing these things because you were upset and you didn't know how to deal with it. Can we talk about it, or can we talk about why that was, or what did I do? What how could we have done that better? Things like that. Validate their feelings. Offer different ways to handle similar situations in the future. Like, be like, okay, well, the next time that Susie steals your toy, like, maybe, like, you can just ask her to give it back, or something like that. I don't know, or like some other alternative, or you can find another toy to play with, that might be more fun. I don't know. So basically, like, you're working with them and not against them.
Mhm.
So instead of just being mad at them and making them feel shame for their behavior, like, be like, no, let's work on this together.
Mhm.
Next time this happens, like, here's some things you can do, that would be better than what happened today. Stuff like that. I don't know. It goes back to, like, the whole be kind thing. I think that, like, our whole thing should just be
Be
kind.
kind. Be kind to other
um,
moms, be kind to dads, be kind to your
yeah.
kids, teach your kids to be
Mm.
kind.
Well, that's everything that I had.
I think
Did
that
you
was
have
really good.
anything?
I,
I
I
did
think we got
too.
a lot. I think we got a lot of golden nuggets in this episode.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay. So I won't say what, but we do have a fun episode coming for Father's
Oh,
Day.
yeah, we
That's
do.
in like 2 weeks or something. Or
Yeah, I
when
think
is
so.
Father's
Yeah.
Day?
So not the next episode, but the episode after that. And Paul's gonna be there.
Yeah, we're finally, because I've seen him like in the background of videos,
Yeah.
and I'll hear him every now and then, but I haven't actually gotten to like see him yet. And he and Mike are probably gonna be like, "Dude, we're like brothers," or
Yeah, I
probably
I cannot wait for them to, like, be face to face, like, talking to each other, because 'cause I'm gonna be like,
what? The same person.
yeah, like, I probably won't even know what I'm talking about the whole time, because 'cause I'll be like, but yeah, I'm excited. he probably forgot. So if he's watching this on YouTube, he's probably like, "What?" But like,
Yeah, you're gonna be on our show, and so is
yeah,
Michael. Michael doesn't know
yeah.
yet, but he's going to be.
But Paul, if you are watching, anyway.
That feels weird that I just did that. What?
Well, I mean, you know, he's I mean, Mike and Paul are the same person, so basically you were just doing that to Mike, which,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
in a weird way. I think that makes sense.
It's like the parallel universe. Like but somehow we both ended up here. I don't know.
Yeah. This is the, it's like that movie Sliding Doors.
I
Have you
haven't
seen that
seen that.
movie? Oh
Is
my
it
god,
like a
watch it.
thriller?
It's so good. It's kind of, it's basically like this girl who basically lives like it's her life and there's like an alternate reality that happens or whatever, but it's really really good. I actually, so I don't know anybody that's seen it except for myself, and I was at one of Holly's feeding appointments and I said something and then her therapist was like, yeah, like that movie Sliding Doors, and my jaw dropped. I was like, what the
We're
fuck?
best
Like,
friends.
I was like, I didn't know that anyone else had seen this movie ever in the world. Like, I thought I was the only one. I've never heard anyone talk about it. And so I was like, oh my God. And so we were talking. Anyway, yeah. But I would definitely recommend it to anybody, and to you, Brittany. You should watch it. But yeah, so I hope that you guys enjoyed. For anybody who's watching or anybody who will watch, I hope you guys do enjoy when you do watch it. And for the people that will be listening, I hope you enjoyed listening to it.
We'll have to do
Yeah.
a poll on our Instagram of what is everyone's most used emoji, because I want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I do too. I think we should, so I was thinking about this yesterday. I think we should have like we should let or have like one of those like ask me things so people can just ask us questions, and it might be fun to do like an episode where we're answering questions. That might be
Yes.
fun. So if you guys have any like burning questions for the Imperfect Moms, go for it. Do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will see you guys, or we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.